did get approval through the foundation for the guest room renovations, right? Big thing, right? It's awesome, it's awesome, awesome, awesome. I was just yes, sir. Guest rooms. So we're going to do 2, right? We're a little undecided whether we're going to do A and B, B and C, A and C, you know, which 2, but my first sort of knee-jerk reaction to it was B and C is what we had planned in the past. That way, if we do decide to use the A room for some other use, it was also suggested that we do renovations on A and B and leave C possibly for storage for the ball shop, right? You know, we are not locked into anything just yet. We're in the planning stages. Rick in the past has got estimates for the construction part of it, but understand the renovations will consist of a couple things. We're going to do basically a studs out renovation of these 2 units, which will include demolition of the current bathrooms and refrigerator areas, and the bathrooms will be totally reconfigured and redone, and it'll have sort of an efficiency apartment. If anybody's ever stayed at a Hilton Garden Suite, we're trying to sort of model it after that. Are we working again? Okay. So we're trying to model it after that, but it's going to be a quite extensive renovation. During that time, of course, the guest rooms will be closed as soon as we start. We're not going to close them now. We're going to wait till all the plans are done. But again, we have the construction we have to you know, plan for, and what the actual design of that construction will be. We have the new furnishings that are going to be part of the project as well, and the soft goods that will go in there, right, as part of that. So it's, you know, everything from lamps and, you know, beds and table and couch, chairs, whatever, and then of course all the paint and whatnot. New ceiling is going to go in, carpeting, air conditioning, everything. Right? Yes, sir.
What kind of appliance will there be? Any microwave or
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hot plates or something?
Yeah. Again, the idea will be to make it sort of like an efficiency apartment, and if you have happened to have stayed in a Hilton, they have all that. They're basically, you know, it's like a little efficiency, right? So we want to update it, modernize it, make it user-friendly, inviting, representative of your community, right, in a positive way. And then we're going to sort of dovetail and fold into that project the dining room renovation that the foundation will be taking part in. That is a quite expensive endeavor. You can imagine all the carpet in there. It's a lot of carpet. The foundation is going to help with that as well, as well with the chairs and the paint, the furnishings, new chandeliers, wall sconces, window treatments, you name it. So it's going to be quite a big project in there as well. Again, we're not going to shut down the dining room until we have everything in place and we're ready to come in and start demoing. That project will also include the lobby update with furniture and art in there as well. I think everybody really loves that brown couch out there, but that will go away, right? And so before we go into the OR financial update, we'll let Rick come up and tell us about what's going on in the maintenance and housekeeping departments. How about this sound system? Awesome. Come on, Rick.
We got our elevator permits. Okay. Well, in the past month, this is a report I turn into a CSS every month for maintenance because I have to be accountable for the work orders and projects that go around on campus. Last month, we did 587 work orders that were submitted to maintenance. We completed 512 of them. 75 are on hold for either parts or contractors or scheduling. But most of our work orders have been completed. That was an 87% completion rate that we did last month. So that was a lot of work orders. The previous month in April, we did 468 that were submitted, and 392 were completed. That was 84% completed. So some of those work orders got rolled over into the following month of May. Right now, I checked, and we have, man, this microphone's really kicking. It's loud. It's my voice, isn't it? So, we are, as of right now, we have about 60 work orders on hold. And what we are being told is they want us to complete all work orders that are submitted by residents completed within 3 working days, 3 business days. So, but if you, realistically, we can do that. We've been doing it. I pulled our records. We've been doing it, but there's projects like if we need to order a part, if we need to do something, that's part of our training with our maintenance staff, because this work order program is a work in progress. And so they're learning as we go. And so the guys need to make sure if there's, say if you need a ice maker filter, which a lot of them take a specialty filter, and sometimes we have to order them. So the guys have to go on the work order program, put that project on hold, so it doesn't count as the 3 days until that work order, or until that water filter comes in, and then we can sign it off. So, but realistically, we are doing a lot of that within 3 days. Some are maybe 4, but we're trying our best. This is something new, and we're learning, so we're trying to get as many work orders completed within the same day. And a lot of times we do, like I said, we prioritize our work orders. So if it's a plumbing leak, or if it's a light out or something like that, we try to do that. But that's for the residents. Now on campus here, we can, as long as we document, like there's a hallway light in Monty Johnson Manor. I know it's been out for 2 days. So I need to follow up on that to see why, but that doesn't count as a 3-day because it's not in a resident room. So, but that should be taken care of today. Special projects that maintenance has been working on. We've had a lot of projects. I'm about project out around here. We've done a lot around here in the past month. The roof project for Monty Johnson Manor, Holland Delay, Garden Apartments, or not, Holland Delay, Monty Johnson, Nora Rife. That roof project is completed. Now we're going around, there's a lot of wood repair, so they're going around right now and repainting some of the raw wood that was put up there and replaced. Concrete project. Right outside of Monty Johnson and Porter McGrath, we had that whole area where we had a lot of cones. I think for about 2.5 years to 3 years, we had cones sitting out there so nobody would trip over the uneven concrete. That was completed last week. And then we had 853 Lakeside Court. We had during the hurricane, we had a tree come down and it punctured the driveway. And so that was completed last week also, along with 505 Waverly Place. We had a section of concrete replaced in there, and that was due to a tree that was lifting up the driveway and it created unevenness, so we had that replaced. On Lakeside Court, we just earlier this week, we made some adjustments to that drainage project. That was a huge drainage project behind 820. We had that whole side dug up and replaced the pipes coming from the back of Miss Barbara DeVault's house. If you don't know where I'm talking about, Barbara DeVault's house up to the front of her house, we had new drainage pipes put in there, and that was quite an undertaking because it took, after we got it done, we had a good rainstorm. We haven't had very many rainstorms here yet to really test that drainage out. It'll probably happen tonight now that I mentioned it, but we finished that up, and we'd like to really see how that works out before a hurricane comes, because she took a lot of water inside her unit, and we want to make sure it's working properly. The flooring projects in Holland Lane, Monty Johnson, that project is completed, but if you notice going towards the elevator by the mailboxes, we had a chemical reaction with this glue down carpeting, and so the glue and the masonite had a chemical reaction, so it created a little bubble. And so there's a safety cone there. So I ordered more carpet, about 8 feet of carpeting by 12 foot to replace that section. What we're going to do is we're going to close that section down when it comes in, and we'll give notice to everybody, let them know. We'll put flyers up. We're going to close that section down. We're going to re-pour the concrete instead of going back with masonite. Just pour concrete, self-leveling concrete, and then glue the carpet back down. Yes, sir?
What's the importance of carpeting versus hardwood floors?
In that area, we would have gone with hardwood flooring, but there's residential apartments up there. And that's a high traffic area, and so you'll hear the echo through there. So that's the reason why. We like using the LVP, luxury vinyl plank, in areas that are high traffic, but when you have residential apartments or units there, it's kind of noisy, and that's the reason we go with carpet, kind of buffer the noise down. You're welcome. Last week we went through maintenance myself. The state was here and they were inspecting my records for the generators because we're in hurricane season, and everything checked out 100%, so we're clear there. And then the future projects, you talked about the future projects already?
A little bit.
Okay.
We talked about, the
Dining room.
We talked about the guest rooms.
Okay.
We're in the planning, stage with the sixplex, but we don't have to fund
Yeah.
that today.
The last project that has been on hold for quite a while, and I just got well, actually there's two, because I know you're going to bring it up, but two. The fence project on the north side of campus, they're dropping the material off next week, and then they're going to be scheduling the privacy fence going across Hardin Boulevard, all the way from the maintenance shop, all the way down to 635 to the lake. All that's going to be replaced within the next probably 2 weeks. It took a little bit longer than expected, but I just got confirmation that the material's been purchased and it'll be dropped off. Okay, the big project that I know that everybody wants to know about is the elevator, chapel elevator. I hear the chuckles. I did talk to them today. They're confirming the deposit check and the schedule to get that scheduled to waterproof the pit. So I should know something within the next week, and we can put that in the FYI.
Sure.
Put that in there. So I should know something. I talked to them right before lunch, and they're going to let me know.
What is that? What sort of waterproofing do they need to do in there? What's that look like?
What they're going to do is they're going to inject the walls, inject the flooring with material that waterproofs it from coming from the outside in. And so, and then because that is a high water area, because when they pulled the shaft up to replace it, the cylinder, when they pulled it up, they broke the seal into the ground, and so water started coming up.
Why can't we just use a sump pump and pump that water out?
Because the question was, why can't we just use a pump to pump the water out? Years ago, probably about 15 years ago, we used to have a sump pump in there. And because the hydraulic fluids from the elevator, whether you have a leak or not, there's always hydraulic fluid coming up and down the shaft. When it mixes with water, you cannot pump that out into the outside area. It has to be picked up by a collection agency because one, we'd be polluting the ground, and then we could be polluting the lake also. And that lake is polluted enough. So, so we don't want to pump it out. In the newer elevators in Porter McGrath and the ALF, there is a sensor built in to the pump. And because it does have, some of them do have pumps, but they have a sensor. And as soon as it senses hydraulic fluid or oil, it'll shut the pump off. So that's the reason why. There was something else I was going to bring up to you.
Sorry. Got new gutters?
Oh, the gutters, but the pool. We've had every summer when school gets out, the kids have nothing to do, right? And so we've had a number of intrusions lately in the pool. We had a young lady that was in there. She decided to add bubble bath to the spa. you know, can't make it up. And then I think we think she added some to the pool also, because I'm not sure how many of you go to the pool, but this happened, I think, is while you were on vacation about 2 weeks ago. The pool was real cloudy. So what we did is we called the police, and they put a no trespassing warrant on her not to come back to the facility. But then we've had a lot of kids in the neighborhood thinking it's a public swimming pool. We found mangoes and different objects in the pool. So Doug and I reached out to IT and IT department to see if we could put access control on it, because everybody has a key fob for the dining services and everything. So we're reaching out to see if that can be incorporated at the swimming pool. I mean, it's a screened enclosure. We've had people cut the screens, but at least we could say we're trying to do our part to control the amount of people going in there. And we've had other people in the neighborhood using the pool too, thinking it's community. So if we can at least limit that and get better control of it, that's what we're trying to do. The cameras do work at the swimming pool, yes they do. But a camera is only good if you're sitting there monitoring it. We don't sit behind the camera and monitor it. We have over 52 doors that have to be locked up at night. We have 19 check-in stations around the campus. So security's not just sitting in one spot the whole time. They're patrolling the campus. Larry?
By the shower area, people have put in different kinds of shampoos and whatnot, and we don't know where she got the lady got her shampoo, but I would surmise that maybe that's where she got it.
That's a very good point.
Is, if you're going to have to wash your hair, then bring your own, but take it out. Take it with all those shampoos or whatever, clear that all out. That may be a way to.
That's a very good point. Thank you.
I know we.
That, and I know they like to bars of soap there also.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
The North Green door doesn't close all the way back. Yeah, like that.
North green door at the swimming pool. Oh, it's probably got caught in the wind then. Okay. No, but if it's not being locked, yeah, if it's not there, period, because during the day, that's when it happened, was like at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So you can go anywhere you want in that pool house. Yes, ma'am. I'm not really sure, but there is a work order made up on it. You're talking about the weather stripping on the side? I think something got caught on it. I'm not sure if it was like a scooter or something that snagged it and maybe pulled it in, but there is a work order to replace the weather stripping on the door. Yeah, I don't think it was somebody tried breaking in. You never know though, but we are going to make a work order up on that. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
If you're going towards Palmetto,
Yes.
and you come down over the bus, and there's an extra one.
We'll take a look. Okay, we'll take a look and see. I mean, is it on? Oh, you think it's the city street? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at it and see, and if we have to, we can call the city. Any other questions or concerns? Oh, transportation, that's what I want to bring up. I'm not sure how many of you use transportation here, but we were having issues with residents not being at their location when they need to be there to make their next appointment. And so we've had a few circumstances where we were holding up other residents. And so what we're telling is we look for you, but if we don't see you, we're going to leave and go to pick up our next resident. We've had a lot of unhappy residents where we're leaving them at the doctor's too long, waiting on to be picked up. And so I'm just letting you know that you need to be, if you have a 9 o'clock appointment, you need to be downstairs at 8:30. We always like to give a half hour because you never know how traffic's going to be to get into the doctor, or if you need to fill out paperwork when you get to the doctor. So if you can be out there at a half hour early. And Mario and Bob are pretty good about calling, and if we have two people going the same direction, we try to carpool so we can get you there at the same time. But we did have a hydraulic cylinder bust on one of the lifts, so we do have one bus in the shop right now. Yes. You talking about the 24 passenger bus that's sitting down to maintenance? No, that's up for sale. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any pull with the city, Highland Street? Not the one that faces, in front of our, but further on toward, Florida Avenue, all the way down. There are big holes in the road, they're really beautiful. It is a mess.
I would say, I mean, we can call, but it would help if the residents called also to complain about it. And what I can do is I can have Lisa get a number, maybe we could put it in so that residents can call and complain also about that. Or express their concern, I should say, not complain.
Some of that, I've received, I don't know if anybody received it at home, there's a petition about the brick streets in the community. So I don't know if Highland, maybe Lakeland's considering removing the pavement and going back to the brick. So I know there's a petition going around.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rick. All right. Shut that one off. All right. We went over our new staff. Did we talk about, it's storm season, right? We're back into hurricane season. If you need a plan in your homes, we're going to be sending out a little form to help you make a plan, right? If you're going to evacuate or you're going to be out, if you have pets, food supplies, all that business, right? So we got until November, right? It's storm season now through November. Just keep in mind, last year was very active, right? We hope that it's not as active this year, but we plan for it to be active just in case. We have all of our supplies. Remember, Westminster Lakeland is a receiving facility for our sister communities. Last year during Milton, we had an extra 175 people, residents and staff here on site with us. So it gets pretty filled up. So just remember that. But just please, if you have not made a plan for the storm season, to do so, and we'll be sending out a letter about it with a form. Mandy is working on personalizing it for the campus here. Okay. I want to go through it. I don't know if everybody has got a copy of it, of our April financials. We're in June and we're still closing out May. So our last one that closed out was April. So I will go through that. If you have any questions, please let me know. And again, if you ever want to sit down and have sort of a detailed explanation and sort of a line by line of our statement of operations, we have more information about the financials than you probably care to hear, but I'm perfectly willing to share it with you. If you are, an accountant or CPA or just want to know all the little nitty-gritty details, I'm happy to go into it in depth. Okay? But we'll start out in April. We'll go with operating top line stuff, and then we'll go into bottom line expenses. Top line, our actual revenue was $1,412,940 on a budget of $1,447,932. So we had a $34,000 shortfall against budget for revenue, right? People might ask, well, what does that have to do with, right? We're a little under budget with our IL residents. We're above budget with AL, and we were a little bit under budget day by day with the health center. So that's where that comes down, right? So $34,000, right, is a little over $1,000 a day, and that's where that revenue shortfall comes in. So we move down quickly into the bottom line stuff, our operating expenses. You can see there our actual wages were $626,000, $722 against a budget of $650,000, $425. So we're positive the budget about $23,000, almost $24,000, which is good. I can tell you that your department heads here are very vigilant about watching their expenditure with labor, right? We staff appropriately. We send staff home when there's not work for them to do, so they're not just have idle time on the clock that costs you money, right? We review this. Mandy has reviews of the department head spend downs with me each week, so we make sure we keep it an area of focus so things don't get out of control. Labor is the biggest expense, right? We have a lot of staff, about 170 team members here, so it adds up real quickly. So we try to keep track of that. Next up line down is benefits, $128,023 on a budget of $150,568. So we're at the positive there. The big one that hits us every month, that's something that we're working to control, is our controllable expenses. $453,200 on a budget of $443,731. So we're over budget about $8,500. The number one culprit there, as it has been for a number of months, is our pharmacy bill. Pharmacy bill related to the healthcare center, right? You all know medications are very expensive. We have some acute, rather acute care need residents in the health center. They have expensive medications, but be that as it may, we're working to find either generics for those medications or ways to reduce that pharmacy bill. We have some discounts that have gone unrecognized in previous months, and we're looking to capture those discounts and have them applied to our bill instead of being accrued to a revenue line for the pharmacy, right? So you buy, what I'm getting at is that we buy so many, so much medication from the pharmacy through Medicare. Medicare provides a discount for that, and we're trying to capture those discounts here locally and have them applied, to our or your pharmacy bill. Make sense? So just like having a coupon and leaving it in your pocket instead of scanning it at the checkout counter, right? You have the discount, you're just not getting credit for it. Non-controllable expenses, $190,107 on a budget of $202,296. So we're positive $12,189 there, which is good. Total operating expenses, $1,399,356 on a budget of $447,020 budget. So we're positive $47,664. So our net income for the month of April was $13,584 on a budget of $912. So since we are positive, we add those, we subtract those numbers, they're 12,672,000 to the positive, which is good, right? We have a very slim margin. Our margin's about 1.3%, 1.7% in there, very thin operating margin. So we're looking to meet that and, be able to, inside of that, do all of our budgeted, capital expenditures and repairs, roof maintenance, flooring, everything else that we need to do here. If we have a negative net operating income, we can't do it, right? So things get pushed and whatnot. So So currently, we're where we need to be. I can tell you that, you know, as far as May outlook, you know, the expenditures that went on the roofs and whatnot, we had a lot of repairs in May. So we're waiting to see what happens with May's financials and where all that, how we allocate all those expenditures. But we're moving in the right direction, and we'll continue to do that. I appreciate everybody's feedback from the budget meetings. If anybody has, you know, questions about the budget meetings and how the capital budget is made, you know, please, you know, you can ask one of your resident council representatives. You can ask me directly. You can walk in my office and say, you know, what's going on with this? I don't understand. You know, I encourage the feedback and participation, and you know, as long as I've been in this industry, I can tell you that I do not know it all. All right, I look to our residents, our department heads, and team members to suggest things, and you know, continue to challenge you know, us with new and better ways of doing things. Right. So, if you have any ongoing questions, you know, about the budget and how, you know, the capital budget is made and the work that we actually do, I encourage your feedback and input on that. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
No, I may have missed it, I was out briefly, but among the personnel, what kind of personnel has not been filled that needs?
Well,
are we at 100% now, or?
That is always a moving target, I can tell you. There's never a time that we are not hiring. I encourage our team that, you know, that we look for part-time staff, even though we're fully staffed, because life's going on around us. It's going on around our team members. They you know, they have kids, they have husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others, whatever. There's things going on, healthcare things. You know, there's change of status with their significant others that ultimately will cause them to need to move or somehow disrupt what we need them to do here. So we need to have backup plans for all that. We've started doing that with dietary in particular, hiring part-time staff that can be here and help when we have call-offs, right? And, you know, we do ask our team members to give us an adequate, you know, heads up when they call out so we can backfill those spots and it doesn't end up in a service issue for you all. Yes, sir. So, yeah, exactly. So the question statement was that one of the problems are, you know, as we bring in new team members in particular into these communities, is they require a level 2 background, right? Normally when people are out looking for work, right, they not only apply here, they apply, you know, at 10 other places, right? And depending on their situation, they may take the first, you know, job that says, yes, come on, you start tomorrow, right? And if we take, you know, a month because we have to do, you know, a criminal background check and all that, sometimes we lose out on talent. But most of the people in this industry, you know, with nurses in particular, CNAs, their direct care related staff, they have to have a level 2 background check wherever they go, right? I can tell you that some communities let people start before they confirm, you know, that background check. We will not do that, right? It's too big of a risk for us, and it's too big of a risk, you know, for you all. We just don't want to let it happen. So that, you know, that can be a barrier, but for the most part, we navigate around it. I can tell you, like, you know, we're just talking about our dining services team. When I look at applications, when I see one that I worked at Lakeland Regional Hospital, I put that on there. Let's call them, right? Because they should already have that background check. I worked at so-and-so assisted living facility. Let's call them. They should already have that background check, right? So it's, we try to be sort of strategic in that regard, but it can be a little bit of a barrier, especially you know, again, for like dining services, if a cook, or, you know, there's a bunch of restaurants and stuff in the community where cooks can work, you know, it takes a little bit of a special person, you know, to work here. Any other questions?
We are a mission.
That's
So
right.
they have to love us.
That's it, right? It's special. You know, I want you all to know, and Mandy can attest to this, that, you know, we try to meet with all the team members, right? Especially new hires, get them in front of me. And I tell every single one of them that don't be surprised when our residents ask for your help. That's what you're here for, right? We are here to serve, right? And I, you know, I advocate, you know, on your behalf about that with our team members. They shouldn't be surprised that you know, we ask them, you ask them for your help, and they should be gushing with excitement to provide it, right? So, you know, we have some team members, right, that it comes naturally. They're overjoyed to help. We have some team members that are introverts, and, you know, it's a little more of a challenge, right? So we try to work with those folks. And at the end of the day, if this isn't, you know, the place for them to serve, we need to provide them another opportunity, right? Everybody read between those lines, right? Yes, sir.
So we've seen a work order on W Life for an item, and we've waited a couple of days, and I don't want to name names or whatever, but if this doesn't work, does it get into Lisa? If we send in work order through iLife, or should we continue sending it by email? Because it finally went in by email.
You know, I can tell you that the connectivity between MyWLife and Micromain is a hot topic, not only here, across, you know, each of the properties. So they're trying to work on that, where one feeds into the other. It'll push, you know, the push notifications, acceptance. We have different software programs that work seamlessly together. And we have other software programs, Micromain and MyWLife, that they just butt heads and they don't like to talk. But they're working on that. When I say they, our IT teams, Gary, Coates in particular, and even though she's our sales, VP of sales, Michelle Crooks, she's very tech savvy. And she worked for Point Click Care for a number of years. And she knows how these systems, you know, are made to be compatible. And they're working together to break down, you know, the barriers and make them connect. So, long story short, I would encourage you to put them in MyWLife, but there's nothing wrong with sending Miss Lisa Lewis an email, right?
We get a good responses to an email, I'm just saying we should still try the new system.
Right.
And unless others have had the same issue.
It's still, you know, buggy, but, you know, we're trying to, you know, utilize MyWLife. MyWLife recognizes, you know, the challenge as well, and they're working on it from their end as well. It's not only a Westminster issue. The MyWLife, you know, program software, the MyUnity program is used by, you know, communities across the country. So, yeah. But I would, you know, you know.
Keep using MyWLife for work order.
Yes. Yes. But again, while you're in there, you can type an email to Lisa just to make sure it gets in there, or Mandy, or Miss Ann.
If it works, you get an email back.
Right. You should.
You just have confirmation.
You should.
You don't have confirmation.
Any other questions? All right. Like Southwest, oh, yes, ma'am. Halloween survey continues. Right. We appreciate everybody's input on that. I can tell you that I really don't have a lot to do with it other than to pound the drum for you to participate in completing it. I think you know that your resident council representative pushed that out to you. There's a QR code that you complete. It can be done on paper or electronically. And what's the last day of the survey? Friday? 20, which is please participate. We appreciate it. You know, we appreciate the kind words. We appreciate the feedback. You know, things we need to work on as well. You know, I understand, but we're, you know, I appreciate the more participation we have, the more clear picture that it'll present. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be safe out there.